bro, I'm failing. Like,
that's deep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's deep,
I'm failing as a, not that anybody was looking at me that way.
Yeah.
But as a man, I'm like,
yourself as a man. That's deep.
I'm like, man, I'm failing as a husband. I'm failing as a father. I'm failing as an individual. You know what I mean? And the thoughts start to creep in. Yeah, you are failing, or maybe you shouldn't be, like, all that type of stuff start to creep in. And I'm a man of faith.
Hey, let this shit ride for a minute, man. If you got a dream, you gotta go get it. It ain't gonna be easy, it's a lonely road. Very lonely road. But you gotta push through and figure it out. Hey.
Yo, what up, though? We back in the building, man. You know, this is another episode of
REL Talk.
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
V.
Listen, I'm excited today because I got one of my brothers here that I finally get to sit down and have a conversation with. But at this point, you know how this goes. So let me just give you a little something. He is a native from West Philadelphia. Yes, that is where he was born and raised. He is an actor. He is a producer. He is also a writer. He has starred and supported in several films and TV shows with networks such as Netflix, BET, and the CW, just to name a few. Some of those projects include The Family Business, Black Lightning, Lethal Weapon, and The Deliverance. He's also starred in movies such as The First Noel, Influence, and Malcolm, which are currently airing on BET. He's also stars alongside me in our upcoming movie Fails High, which will soon be available in theaters and streaming platforms everywhere. Not only that, this man's relationship with God and love is remarkable. Him and his wife are the creators of Platform for Purpose, which is a constructive workshop including panelists who believe in empowering you to walk in your God-given purpose through community, life, love, and marriage. Not only that, he is a father, a husband, a son, a brother, a friend, and one of God's angels on this earth who I have the utmost respect for. This is Todd Anthony. Give it up for my dog, man.
Bro, first of all,
give it up for my dog, man.
I'm impressed with the I'm like, where you get all this from?
Hey, I do my research on my brothers, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, we gonna make sure they know who you is.
Hey, man, I
you know what I'm
appreciate
saying? You understand? Listen, welcome, brother. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, bro, man, I'm excited to be here. Proud of you, and
man,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. We got a lot of dope things to talk about today, man. Reason I'm really excited is because I get an opportunity to sit down and talk to you. Your life, your story is incredible to me. Who you are as a man is incredible to me. And I can't wait for the world to be able to hear your journey, your process when it comes to art, when it comes to life, when it comes to fatherhood. So I'm excited. But one thing I always like to do is open up my conversations with a question that has nothing to do probably with anything I'm going to talk to you about.
All right.
But it's just to get the mind open, just to get us to a point, man, where we could, allow it to stimulate our minds.
Yeah.
My question to you today, and this is just real. If you were an idea, and I'm talking about the definition of you, if you were the definition of, say, idea, and you had to explain yourself, how would you explain yourself?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I got it.
If I was the definition of idea, how would I explain myself? Something that can be placed on the inside of you that will That's a great question. I'm trying to form this one correctly. I would say I'm something that is placed on the inside of you that, when triggered, brings the best light from the inside on out.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah. I had to think about that when I was
Yeah.
like,
I had to break it down for me.
yeah.
Hey, I like that. Something that's triggered on the inside of you that you have to bring out. I mean, because when you think about it, that is I think the aspect of when ideas arise. It's a trigger, right?
Yeah.
It's something that hits you and it's like, oh, you know what? I need to do that. Or, you know, I was thinking about that. Maybe this is a good idea. So it makes a lot of sense when you say it that way. Okay, we passed that test. We on and popping now.
I hope I passed that test.
Hey, come on. So let me talk to you a little bit about Philly, man. Philly, you grew up understanding that obviously with this acting stuff, man, you've been killing the game, but you played basketball, if I'm correct, and you had a history with that. Explain and tell me a little bit about your upbringing in Philly with basketball and how that transitioned into your art.
Yeah, so I mean, Philly, you know, it's a sports town.
Yeah, for sure.
Hence, you know,
shout out to Philly,
Super Bowl champs. You know,
Yeah.
I know.
Hey, listen, he had to throw that in there,
one
man,
in there
because it should have been the Lions in Philly in the NFC. You see the hat? He had. It's all
I
good.
tried to
Go
tell
ahead.
another Detroiter that I said, I don't know, man.
They hurt a little bit.
They might not make it to
the next year coming. Trust me, it's coming. It's coming.
I digress. But yeah, you know, Philly is a sports town. And for me, like a lot of inner city kids, it's like sports is just around you.
Yeah.
And so, but I grew up football was actually my first like sport.
Oh wow.
And I thought I was gonna be playing football until I got hit real good.
That's what they always
like real, like almost to.
You had the ringing, like
Yeah, man. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just do this I do the flag football situation, but yeah, they ain't built for me. But I play every sport. Like it was like I literally lived across from, like I grew up down an area called Down the Bottom.
Okay.
And my house is here, and the park is here. It's a basketball court, it's a baseball field, and football field. Okay. So it was like, pick one.
Yeah.
And so we played all three, but basketball is the one I kind of took to after my pop kind of like that was what he did.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of became a natural thing, and played from 7, 8 up until I played middle school ball, played summer league, high school at Overbrook High School.
Overbrook.
Shout out to Overbrook.
Shout out to Overbrook.
Which is what's his name? Will Smith Way now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. Will Smith Way. That's real.
Yeah. And then Trent to college, went from there, went to Penn State, played a couple years there. And then that journey, I thought that was gonna be it. I thought that was basketball was my thing. And it actually had I had the opportunity for it to be, but by the time a real like professional opportunity came along, I was too jaded by the politics of it, and what I kind of went through in my journey. So it was like I just decided not to, which is actually a regret to this day, to be honest with you.
Whoa.
Every time I think about it, I'm like, why didn't you just go at that point in time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, I think God does everything for a reason.
Sure does, brother. Sure does.
And so while I was in college, while I was at Penn State, I took theater, took a couple film courses, because I had did a little, to backtrack, I had did a little theater in like 8th, 9th grade, through the local church at that time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even considered, like I wasn't even thinking about acting. It was just.
I'm sorry, I gotta say this because I've heard Kevin Hart talk about the local church in
yeah.
Philly where he played. Is that a thing in Philly or something? It's just because I heard you say something about a local church.
Nah,
I'm like,
like,
is this a thing in Philly?
It's a church. First of all, it's a small church on like every corner.
Okay,
it feels
see,
like.
I didn't know this. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like
I had no idea about this.
Like Philly, like the way I got introduced to church. Like my pop, I live with my mom primarily, but my pop, growing like when I would be on the weekends, that was my experience with church.
Yeah.
And so my dad went to every church. Like he had his main church, but when he had to preach, sometimes it'd be at a house, like somebody starting their church out their crib.
That's crazy.
so my experience with church is like seeing all different facets of it.
Yeah.
And so in Philly, that's what it is. But like, every church had a church league, which like Kevin Hart was talking about.
That's crazy.
and so the church I grew up in though was like it was the first. I wouldn't even say grew up in. I went to with my pop. By the time I started really going to church at like 16, like on my own.
Yeah.
Was Deliverance. And Deliverance was the first kind of like mega church in Philly.
Oh wow.
But it started in the living room.
That's
and
crazy.
You know what I mean? Like at that time he just like he was just older man who was just he loved the Lord and it was prevalent. You know what I mean? Like it was on him.
Yeah.
And so he actually bought the old Philly stadium, Connie Mack Stadium, which was in North Philly at the time. He bought that lot that the Phillies used to play at before they moved down to where all the Eagles is there now. So they bought that, built the church there, and it was considered the first mega church. And
that's dope.
Yeah.
I just had to ask about that real quick, because I'm always hearing about these local churches.
So when I say local church, that's actually like, even though that's local like that, if you say Deliverance, everybody like if
they
you
know what's
you know
up.
what I mean? Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So but yeah, so that was like my my thing. And then how we even get there? How we even get to the
Now
to
you
local
brought up
church?
the local church. You was talking about Penn State. You was backtracking a little bit about
Yes,
the basketball
yeah. So we
transition.
to theater.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah,
I'm with you, brother.
to theater. I got you. So yeah, that was my first play at the church, and I wasn't even acting at that time. It was just I think subconsciously I was doing it as a kid because I just loved entertainment and movies and stuff like that. And they asked me to be in it, and I wound up doing a good job, but I just kind of left it there. Yeah. And then by the time I got to college, it was like, well, what else am I interested in besides basketball and besides the major that I knew I really don't want to do? You know what I'm saying?
Right. That makes sense.
And so theater and film was the things that I decided to kind of like dive into a little bit, but still not even like I'm gonna be an actor.
Yeah.
It was just like, I think this is cool. And outside of that, you graduate and then end up in a situation that kind of caused the light bulb to go off, to force me into not force me into acting, but it was kind of God's design of like you was always going this route. And that was the first marriage that I experienced. Learned a whole lot about that, about people, about marriage, about God, about family, about my life.
Yeah.
And we can, if we want to skate back to that, we can, but I'm just fast
We
forwarding
definitely gonna get in that. I got you.
I wound up ending up in a job that was cool for a while, but I remember sitting at my desk and I'm just like, yo, this can't be it. Like I'm too creative. Like, I'm like, I do so many things. Why am I here? And I just remember like sitting at my desk like, all right, Lord, like, let me know what should I really be doing? And like, I would say within 10 minutes, the idea of what about acting popped in my head it just did. And I was like, yeah, like what about acting? Like I could do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the ball just started rolling from there. You know what I mean? I called Dustin at the time.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Dust.
Come on, man.
And me and him grew up in the same church.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that's how we know each other. Like we've known each other way before this.
Yeah.
And he was always into it. Like, he was always into acting. And that's the only person I knew that was involved with anything Hollywood. And I called him and was like, yo, I think I really want to do this. And he was like, you really want to be an actor? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, all right. He's like, looking at this place, looking at that place. And then he referred me to a school up in New York. And he was like, take some acting classes there and let me know how it go. You know what I mean? Just that, it was just kind of matter of factly. And I don't think I heard from Dust that whole year. Like just reaching out to him like, yo, I think it was a test to see, You know what I
You was
mean?
for real.
If I was for
Yeah,
real.
you really gonna take this serious.
Yeah. And I had did a lot in that year span of school, of indies, of getting a website. Every time it was like everything that had to do with kind of like just getting the ball rolling I was doing. And then finally he reached out and was like, I just wanted to see if you were serious because everybody said they want to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I ain't stopped.
It's on and popping.
Yeah.
That's how you do that, man. Let me ask you something about this acting because I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Obviously, you've had some great opportunities and roles and things that you played in your career. I always like to talk to actors because I feel like me and you were actors. We appreciate it. We love it. We dive into it in the way that we do. One of my, I guess, actor question is, when you get an audition, do you feel like, now say it's for a TV show, and I guess I want to speak specifically to that. If you get an audition for a show, it's had a couple of seasons running, and and they're giving you this major role because now you're going to be do you take that audition and go start to watch the show? Or do you say, let me create the character that I want to create and make, because if I go watch the show, it may take away from what I'm actually going to put on this audition tape?
Yeah, that's a great question.
You know what I mean? So it's like, because I've battled with that, and I thought about that. It's like, damn, do I want to watch the show? And then be like, okay, well, I know the show is kind of like this, so I'm gonna do my audition this way. Or it's like, nah, because my attitude is kind of like, I just rather shoot. But I always wonder what actors think about that, because I'm like, if I'm creative, I just want to be a creator.
Yeah.
And if you like what I got, then I'm gonna bring that to the table. But what do you think about that?
I think for me, my process is I do both.
Okay.
So my first instinct is to do whatever I want to do.
Okay.
The other thing is like, what you know what I'll say this, depending on the show. Like if it's comedy, then I'll watch, because comedy has the different
it's a certain
beats.
type of it's a certain type of
But if it's a
sense.
drama, like I rarely will watch. Like I don't even because for me it's like, even though there's different type of dramas, if I'm in the pocket of drama, then the director can direct me.
Yeah.
But the whole point of you asking me to put something on tape is my interpretation, what I bring to the table.
Facts.
Because if I look at the show, then my tape is going to look like everybody else who's looked at the show.
Exactly.
And 9 times out of 10, everybody else has looked to see what type of show it is. And it's like, that's not authenticity. That's not even art, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I'm totally
imitating.
With you,
yeah. So I don't go that route. Like I read. I don't even read. That's the crazy thing. Now, it's crazy when you first start until now. It's like I read size, but I don't read size. Like I read it to get the world in my head.
Yeah.
And then I leave it there. And so then I work it out in front of, like when we taping, I'll just work it out in that process, as opposed to like making sure I got all the lines X, Y, Z. I don't even, because I got a cheat code too, because I got a photographic memory, so I can look at stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In 5 minutes and be like,
I know.
All right, cool.
I
You
know.
what I mean?
Let's do it. Yeah.
And I don't even really be knowing it. It's just like, I just rather get the feeling before the lines.
Yeah, no, that makes
sense.
sense.
So that's my process. I mean, I don't knock people who watch shows. I think it's a good thing. It's called studying, but it does strip away a little bit. In your subconscious. Yeah. Because even if you consciously like, well, I'm gonna do my own thing, and you watch it subconsciously, you're gonna do it because you've already prepped your mind. Yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, I when it comes to drama, no. But when it comes to comedy, I will watch just to see the cadence of the show.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because like my acting coach, I always shout him out, Brian Martin, man, one of the most beautiful acting coaches, still my acting coach to this day. But anytime we would be in rehearsal and he would see us doing something and we were getting to a point to where it was like, you can tell we was in a bag, he'd just stop us. Cut, it's over. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Yeah. But then he would start to teach me, like, I don't want you to peak too soon. Because if you peak too soon, you have nowhere to go. Yeah. And I think about that even when it comes to auditioning, because that could be a reality of it, right? It's almost like I'm rehearsing this audition because it's such a big, and I've maybe found some beautiful moments which I've experienced that. It's like, oh, I know when I do this, I'm gonna kill it. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm watching the tape back, but I'm like, it doesn't give me that same feeling when I discovered it. So when you say the idea of, working it out, that's a beautiful way to look at it, because as an actor, I love to learn. I've never thought to go about it that way, to just be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna work it out in front of me. Because I have a very good memory when it comes to lines too. It's always like, I could look at something like, bruh, this ain't, I know this. You know what I'm saying? The intention's clear, I got it.
Yep.
But I think that's a beautiful process and a way to look at it, man. That's awesome.
I think that's the luxury of self-taping, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now it's different. Like, it's not really different when you go in the room, but it is just because you don't want to seem like you're unprepared.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make sure I got the lines.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as like, that's kind of just where I'm at. Like, I had an audition recently that came a couple days before, and but it was like a EcoCast joint.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first I was like, man, let me make sure X, Y, Z. And I was like, nah, I'm not even switching nothing up. I'm gonna do it the same way I do when I do a self tape. And that's what I did. I just made sure I had the lines, and depending on how the person was reading, was kind of like the pocket I was in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I made my choices, but it was like I was able to play as opposed to having something already prepared.
Yeah.
I think that's what you do when you kind of first start. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you just want to be good, but the idea of living is like this right here is not playing.
Yeah.
So let's just live. You know
just
what I mean?
living. We just in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, that's facts. I'm always like, even when I look at auditioning too, it's almost like, because now everything lives in self-tapes. It's a very big thing. So I've kind of constructed this idea to say, well, you know what? I'm going to treat it like I'm walking in a room.
Yeah.
You getting 2 takes out of me.
That's something.
Maybe 3, because sometimes they may have, because they may like what you're doing and want to see something else. But out of those takes, you getting 1 of them.
Yep.
Because that's what it's going to be if I walk in the room.
Yep.
And if I was ready for the moment, that's the moment for me. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
So I kind of treat it like that too. Another thing I want to talk to you about is like artistry, right? You being an actor, you having these experiences that you've had since you've moved to LA. And like you say, you started out basketball, you did the church plays, you did these things. Dustin wanted to see if you were real. You took the classes. For you now, what is the moment? And it could have been something recent, or it could have been 10 years ago. But where is the moment that you had an experience, whether on set or on stage or in a play, and you said to yourself, I've realized I've grown as an artist? Like, what is a moment for you that says to yourself, like, yeah, I can tell I'm growing as an artist?
The moment I realized I've grown as an artist, that's a threefold question.
Yeah.
And I
I'm giving
say
you
that
something
because
today, brother. I'm giving him something today. We gonna talk today.
I think I discovered that on probably The Deliverance.
Which is on Netflix. Make sure you go check it out right now, because we pub here.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
And the crazy thing is like that wasn't one of my bigger roles, but to go work with Lee Daniels, right, for it to be a Netflix thing, and if you were green, I'll use green, or beginner, it can kind of, the moment may overtake you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I realized I grew when I got to set, and it was like I treated it as like any other set I would be on. You know what I mean? Like, I was there to partner and to really get the idea of what he was trying to convey.
Yeah.
And to really understand, like, this is a partnership. This is not like I'm coming to work on your project. I am coming to work on your project, but once we're here, all right, what do you need from me? And I'm confident enough to ask you questions about what the art is that we're trying to create. As opposed to 6 years ago, you're just going in to do the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Make a lot of sense.
And so now it's like, I think it's because I've been on both sides of the camera to understand like the message has to come across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm an actor, but am I conveying the message?
Mm.
And so that's where I think now I've wrong. Matter of fact, I won't even say deliverance. I probably would say in us doing Malcolm, the deliverance was kind of confirmation.
Yeah.
But Malcolm was like,
hey, I'm gonna tell you something. I gotta say, cause when I say he killed it, don't play yourself, man. Check it out on BET. I'm telling you, this brother
it's actually on All Black now.
It's on All Black now.
Yeah,
Check it out on All Black
yeah,
now.
All
Shout out
Black.
to All Black, Brett. We see you over there, but for real, man.
Yeah, that because that was my first time ever like really sitting down writing something, one, and then two, using that man's voice, and then allowing the message to come like we got to act, but it's like but I got to make sure the message is really being felt. And just being involved in that whole process. Once I did that, it was like, okay, this art stuff is bigger than just being an actor. Is bigger than it's a voice.
Yeah.
And what's your voice talking about? You know what I mean?
I think it's beautiful too when you realize those moments. I think for me, because man, when you watch a brother of yours, like, obviously I consider you my brother, man. It's like when you watch him grow as an artist. And it's crazy that you said Malcolm, because when I watch Malcolm, it's like, I love your work. But when I watch Malcolm, I'm like, he got it. Like, this is it, bro. And even it was crazy to me because I remember watching it thinking to myself, like, one, this is perfect for you. Like Malcolm X, like, why wouldn't nobody think to, like, bro, you're the perfect Malcolm X to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's why
but
I
ultimately,
do it myself.
like, seriously. But at the same time, the way that you conveyed and portrayed him, the way that you were so detailed, and when I watched it, how even the smallest nuances is what because man, again, actor, I love to pay attention. It was so beautiful to me. So when I seen it get picked up, I understood why. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's almost like you can't deny. You couldn't deny that. You couldn't, and you put the work in yourself. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, and it just shows you who you are as an artist. So that makes a lot of sense, bro. I love to hear you say that.
Yeah, man.
When I want to talk to you a little bit about life, because also the way that I feel like you navigate life. And now, yes, I don't know you on your daily basis, how you go through hardships or how you go through the positive things in your life. But as a friend and as a brother, I'm always looking at you as somebody that I've had respect for just because of how you carry yourself and how you show up as a man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I would ask you, what is the biggest challenge you feel like you face today as a man in your life?
Oh, man.
Killing with these, huh?
Shoo, the biggest challenge
you face today. I'm very curious to know that.
I would probably say I would probably say 2021.
Okay.
2020 going into 20. No, I would probably say 2020. Obviously, we all went through something then.
Yeah, for sure.
With COVID.
Yes.
But is it 2020? I'm trying to make sure. No, it is 2021. So, fresh off of like COVID's kind of still around. And my daughter was born 2020, May 2020, right in the thick of COVID. And then by this time, my wife is pregnant now with our son in 2021, and nothing's going on. Like I'm not working at all. And I have a 1-year-old, one on the way, a wife, a mortgage, a teenager, a car, all bills. Nothing. Like when I tell you, nothing's happening. And it was at that point, it got so bad that the truck got repossessed.
Man.
We was behind on everything. I'm being real now.
Nah, straight up.
And I just remember, like, it was a small thought of, bruh, I'm failing. Like,
that's deep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's deep,
I'm failing as a, not that anybody was looking at me that way.
Yeah.
But as a man, I'm like,
yourself as a man. That's deep.
I'm like, man, I'm failing as a husband. I'm failing as a father. I'm failing as an individual. You know what I mean? And the thoughts start to creep in. Yeah, you are failing. Or, you know, maybe you shouldn't be. Like, all that type of stuff started to creep in. And I'm a man of faith, everything.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, but now, God be the glory, had people around me that could help me out and help me get my truck back and all this stuff. And by the end of 2021, it was a year, man. Like, I remember I broke down at the end of the year. Everything was happening. Like, it was good, but it was bad. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, but I realized my perspective in that year was off. And by the end of the year, I understood, like, okay, right? We go biblical where the Bible talks about the word being a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your pathway. And I never forget. I'm like, this is in why I'm breaking down. It's nothing clear but the voice of God saying, well, light's not effective in light. And I was like, I just sat back like, wow. So if my word is going to be actually impactful, you're going to be in darkness. And that's the only way light is effective, in dark places. And so the perspective switched. And I was like, okay, got it. The problem is I was focusing on all the things that was going wrong and not finding what he was trying to teach me in those times. He was trying to teach me patience. He was trying to teach me trust more, have more faith, look around you. I'm actually, even though all these things are going wrong, I'm sustaining you. It looks like everything is bad and things are back, but I got this person help you, that person help you, this person. I'm like, and so by the end of 2021, I said, all right, Lord, I'm going to flow with however you want to, whatever you want to do. This new year coming, I'm going to flow. However you're blowing, that's where I'm going. And 2022 came, and same voice, get a job, cool. Hit my man up, I'm getting back in this. I did social work for 6 years, and he was still in it. So I'm like, y'all got hiring? Yeah, we got a position. I get hired. I worked there for a week, and church calls me, and was like, hey, we need somebody we was thinking about somebody managing the church, the XYZ, like the facilities, and we know you good with your hands and stuff that I'm like, and they like, would you be interested? And I'm like, this gotta be a Lord. I'm like, yeah. So I said, yeah. What else is it? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so boom. All right. So I told my man, hey man, I'm out. Like,
1 week. I gave you a week, big dog.
I gave you a week.
I appreciate it.
I didn't even get out of training yet. And so
that man got 4 days of training and said, I'm out.
I said, hey man.
Preach to God, call him.
Listen,
I'm gone.
Bruh. And so now I'm at the church. So I'm working at the church, and I'm making way more money than I was at the job.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm going there faithfully. Still having my moments of like, but but I really want to work in what I came here to do.
Exactly.
But I'm like, but this ain't the time. This ain't it. This ain't the season. Right now, I got to get back on track with everything, and this is what's consistent. I'm doing that. And then this is 2021. I get a call maybe 3 months after that. This is maybe May. About project. One of the execs hit me. Sorry. Before I get there, shout out to Christian Keys. I'm gonna say his name.
Christian Keys for sure.
They're doing all the Queens Men, and he hits me and he's like, yo, the such and such season coming up, and they got a role coming up where it's for a brother of like that, my brother, and I know you can kill it. And it ain't come out yet, but when it does, I'm gonna let you know. So months go by, I forgot all about it. Yeah. But this other project comes around, one of the execs from BT hits me and is like, hey, we got this Christmas movie coming out. I want you to be the lead. So I'm like, all right, bet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got to audition. I ain't got to, you know what I'm saying? So, and she's like, it starts in like June or whatever. So I'm like, all right, bet. Wind up going there. Church is cool because it's like, it's my home church. Like, you know what I mean? But they already know what I do. Go there. The same time I go there, the audition for Christian joint comes. And he's like, he sends me a joint. Yo, the joint came out. I need you to tape. I tape. They love me. But both projects going on at the same time. Of
course.
Right? So I'm like, oh man. So
I really gotta ask God what to do.
Man.
Man,
and I wish I could have did both, but they couldn't work it out. But it was like that once I did that Christmas project, so right after that, I get a crazy residual from Black Lightning. I mean, like crazy, which is like, I thought it was off at first.
Yeah, like y'all did something wrong.
Yeah, because I mean, like I was in some episodes, but it's like this joint looked a little crazy. So I'm like, all right, but like I'm starting to see, and I'm flowing when I'm saying like, boom, I go do the project. All right, I'm going back to work when I get to LA. Like I'm just flowing however God wants me to do, and from that point on, everything just kind of just been like, I've been, got back on track. You know what I mean? Like it ain't perfect, but it's like,
of course,
it wasn't like what I came out of.
Yeah.
And now as I go forward, like I understand, like, bro, whatever God's doing for you in that time, even if it feels like it's pressure or darkness, it's not darkness. You missing what he's trying to teach you.
Yeah.
And so, man, but that was like, that year was wild.
It's just beautiful to hear like that part of your story because, man, God is so good.
Yeah, man.
That voice in your head that allows you to know that it's going to be okay in your darkest moments is one of the most beautiful experiences I think a human being could have.
Yeah.
When you would get to a point of releasing, it's almost like you say, you just felt like you were failing. It's almost like you got to this point of being like, man, I just want to give up.
Yeah, I'm at the end of my rope, man.
I'm at the end of my rope. And it's almost like when you get to the end of that rope, God just pick your head up.
Yeah, yep.
And tell you like, son, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Trust me, because I wouldn't have brought you this far if it wasn't meant for you to have.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's beautiful.
And it's easy to lose out here. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to lose that voice and that inner knowing because of the chase of something.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And even understanding that, it's like you can't chase anything. You know what I mean? If you find yourself chasing something, that means it's constantly outrunning you.
Exactly.
And so it's like, nah, man, you gotta know the thing that he's giving you to do, as long as you putting one foot in front of the other, everything gonna be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. You can get anywhere. Let me ask you this. What is, because you've obviously been married before, and obviously right now in your marriage, beautiful marriage that you have with you and your wife, Kev. Shout out, Kev. That's my sister.
Shout out
man.
the wife.
That's my sister.
Yep.
You've had experiences, relationships in a way that there are probably a lot of men who've never been married or even in relationships now are trying to figure that out, that point of, when do I make the next step? Is it right for me to make the next step? And am I ready to make the next step? I think that's a very important question. So my question to you is like, what is the most important lesson you've learned in a difficult relationship? Because this one, I feel like you're in, it worked. You're here, you're happy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're experiencing your past. Like, what is the biggest lesson you've learned from some of those difficult relationships that you've experienced?
I would say one of the biggest things that I've learned is more about self. Very easy to point the finger. But let me come from this angle. When I'm talking about relationships, I'm talking about a serious relationship, meaning one that is developing into possibly becoming marriage.
Yes.
So in that space, a man has to understand not only what being a man is, but what being a husband is. A husband does not become, or a man doesn't become a husband when you say I do. The process of becoming a husband is before that. You have to, lions give birth to lions, right? Birds give birth to birds. Husbands give birth to husbands. So if you want to be a husband, you have to surround yourself with other husbands to be able to teach you what that looks like.
Man. That's
the first thing.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing I learned in my first marriage was I didn't even know what a husband was. And even now, when I'm coming from a faith standpoint, my faith tells me that a husband is replicating God's position. Right? Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. That's a heavy command.
It is. It's a very heavy command.
Right? When you think about the positioning.
Yeah.
Right? Because Christ comes back for the church.
Yeah.
Which is us or the people. And so when you're saying basically you deal with the people and however they move, love them regardless, and do the same thing with the woman. And I had to understand, like, even now, like, that's a difficult thing. And it can be challenging, but it's only challenging if you're trying to do it yourself. So the moment you say, all right, if I'm looking at God and I see how he is with me, then I have to be able to take on that Gardner mindset, right? When we're talking about husband and wife, we're talking about loving your wives unconditionally. And the word love is very actionable. It's not what you say. And when you're talking about action towards your wife who's there to help and to elevate you, it takes a lot of swallowing pride. It takes a lot of cultivation. It takes a lot of tilling the ground or breaking up hard ground, depending on that person's background. It takes a lot of seed planting. It takes a lot of water. It takes a lot of light within yourself to shine on that person so that the seeds that you do plant will finally start to come to fruition. You know what I mean? And so, but the difficult part is dealing with self, because if you don't deal with self, then you have nothing to give to another person.
It's facts.
You have what can you possibly give to that person but bad seed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I said the most difficult thing to learn was like, you got to deal with yourself. So even in my marriage now, anytime I have a problem with something, even if it's something that she does, before I react is, do I do that? Because 9 times out of 10, the thing she's doing is probably because I do it and don't realize it.
And don't even realize it's happening.
Yep.
Man.
And that's the real, because I'm like, the things that go on in homes, when you're talking about leadership and you're the man of the house, if you don't reflect it, it's not gonna come back to you. So
What?
so it's
You
like
dropping something, bro. I'm trying to tell you, that's
Man,
real
like
though. That's
I-
so real.
I'm telling you, I really realize it in my wife. I realize it in my kids. So if I see them doing certain things, and kids are the perfect mirror because they don't have nothing to go off of, but accept the things that you give them. And so when my kids are doing something, I'm like, where they get that from? So it makes me do a self-examination of, oh shoot, I be doing that. Oh shoot, I be doing that. And then the same thing with my wife. I'm like, wait, why you do that? And she like, I mean, you do it, you don't really, and I'm like, nah, I don't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? But then when
And that's the crazy, because even when she says you do it, you say to yourself, nah, I don't be doing it. And you don't, because you don't even realize
you
it.
don't even realize it. And so the pride, you got to swallow the pride. And then I really look at myself and be like, yeah, man, you still got more work to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's probably the most difficult thing for any man, because we're so prideful.
So prideful.
And we got ego. And yeah, them things need to be stroked once in a while, but they really need to be tamed a lot by us. So yeah.
That ego thing is a really big thing I think us men all have to deal with, because the ego allows us to think that we're invincible sometimes, right? To think that we do no wrong, to think that we can't look ourselves in the mirror and be like, you ain't that. Nah, I'm this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until you have to strip yourself away of the ego, then you become vulnerable and realize the man that's really inside. And that's somebody who does need love and need respect and doesn't always have to be so prideful and always have to stick up for everything and always have to be the best person all the time or the best at what you do.
Yeah.
It's just an idea to understand that I can just be me and be comfortable as a man.
Yeah.
And understand that I don't have to, because your ego could put you in a place that it might either ruin your life, your career, your marriage.
Bro, pride comes
You know what I
before the
mean?
fall.
And it's always like that, man. So, and you talking about something I wanted to ask you about, which is fatherhood. You know, you just recently spoke about that and being a father. And I want to ask you about that because I'm your brother.
Yeah.
I've actually seen you in relationships prior to being a
Right,
father.
right.
Prior to having kids, you know. So this is a real moment for me. I've seen the complete man in himself become the man that he's always wanted to be. And to me, I think that's a beautiful process to watch a man do that. So watching you become a father, I have so much respect for you and how you do it, how you handle it, how you show up for your kids. But what is that for you? Now, how would you explain, because specifically I want to say, what are some lessons that you are learning being a father?
It's a lot of lessons.
Which I know it's a very complex question, but just, you
Yeah.
know, one or two of those things that allow you to realize that, you know, you learning this about fatherhood, you learning it about yourself, and because this is a different approach to life. You know?
I think the first thing that comes to mind, when we think about the definition of father, it means source.
Yeah.
Right. And so, if we're going solely based off of that, fatherhood has nothing to do with man. It has everything to do with who's the source. And so for me, that could be mom, that could be dad, that could be, sometimes that happens, right? Which is just like God the Father. He's the source of everything. And
Exactly.
so for me, it's, am I resourceful for my wife, for my kids? Do I have something to deposit in them? And to make sure that I'm resourceful, not just monetary, but also with knowledge, with wisdom, with guidance, and knowing how to release certain resources to them as they're growing. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot
Like,
of
right,
sense.
I'm dealing with 1-year-old, 3 going on 4, and 4 going on 5, and then 17 going on 18. And so it's a big gap.
Yeah.
So I have one who's about to just be in the world,
Yeah.
college, young man.
Yeah.
And so it's unpacking all of those things. So it's like, I think about it in this way. I keep going back to faith because it's everything just goes back to that.
It
like
does,
we talk about,
no, it totally does, brothers. I'm in 100% agreement
yeah,
with you.
like when you talk about God, right? He made man in His image, and you think about God, and we talk about me personally, right? Believe in a triune God, right? You got God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. These are same person, different manifestations. So for myself, if I'm made in His image, I understand, like, even when I'm dealing with my kids, 4 different manifestations of me. Same person, but 4 different manifestations, because if I'm dealing with the 18-year-old, you're not going to get the same father that the 5-year-old gets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
that's one of the main things I try to be mindful of. Am I resourceful in making sure that the second most important thing is making sure that they're actually being loved on by me.
Yeah.
Not by the history of me. And I say that because most men, especially us black men, we don't identify the things our fathers went through with their fathers that have been passed down to us. And if we don't identify it, then we're just recreating us in these children, as opposed to me recognizing, like, okay, my father's this way. This is one thing I definitely don't want a part of me. My grandfather was this way. My uncles that I was raised around was this way. They've all had influences on me, but there's certain things that I just never want my kids to experience. And so I try to be very mindful of that, because subconsciously there's a lot of things, if you don't address them, they'll come up.
Yep.
And you're depositing the same seeds into your children.
Yep.
And it's like, nah. So I'm trying to make sure that they're being loved by a whole person, by a person. Yes, I'm still growing, but they're not getting the pain and the experience, the negative experience. They're not getting any of that. They're only getting love, whether it's through affection or correction. You know what I mean? But it's all done out of love. So that's the 2 most important
That's
things.
beautiful,
There's
man.
more, but that's the 2 most important things for me.
No, that's very beautiful, because even when I look at the way that you approach fatherhood, and just the way you share your family with the world, your openness as a father, to me, man, it's always beautiful, because when you know somebody prior to that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you get to see them become that.
Yeah.
And how they carry themselves. It's like, that's why I was like, man, I always take my hat off to that. So I was very curious to know what are those lessons, because you got some young. I mean, I know Kev want another one, don't she?
My wife, man, bruh, like my wife wanted twins, bruh, and I'm like, I already told her, I was like, listen, that ain't gonna happen, man. Don't be surprised. I come home one day and be like, hey, man, the operation went through.
Like, man, what? Oh my God. So speaking about your wife, this definitely brings me into my next question, man. Platform for purpose.
Yeah.
That's literally where we was going with this. Talk to me a little bit about that, man. I've been able to see what you guys have been doing, working with these marriage couples. These people come into the workshops, doing events, giving that inspiration, showing people how to use that gift through art and understanding marriage and how to work with each other, support each other. So just kind of explain to me a little bit about why you guys decided to create Platform for Purpose and what it's doing for you guys now.
You know what? I got to give all the credit to my wife on that one.
For sure.
Because the idea was hers.
Okay.
Like my wife is heavy on helping people discover their purpose.
I love
like
that.
That's her brand.
Yeah.
And she came to me with the idea of like, well, we both like helping people.
Yeah.
We both like making sure people are getting the best out of themselves. I just do it in a different way than she does, but we both do it. And she's like, well, let's just start operating in what we know. We're artists, we're married, we're parents. So let's start hitting those target audiences. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, I'm not a person of like, hey, I want to help you. I'm not that guy.
Right, right.
But if you come to me and ask me, I'm never gonna withhold anything. That's just not me. But she's the person where I want to help y'all. Yeah. And so once she came to me with that idea, it was like, all right, well, let's just try it out. And after our first year of marriage, we started Platform for Purpose, and then we had our first marriage event, and then we realized, like, man, so it's so many people. It's not really about marriage. Mm-hmm. It's really about people first understanding that they got to heal from a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, and I realized most people, in doing these events, doing these panels, we get a lot of single people that come because they want to learn about marriage before they get into it, which is the greatest thing that you can do. But you realize that most people get in relationships simply because they want somebody to love them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, bro.
Bro. That's. It's not just like you got some. Yeah, you get into it for. It seems like it's physical, but even that done in its improper context is like you're doing it from a place of you want something from somebody. You know what I mean? Like, and so what we realize is like, yo, there are voids that people are not addressing or running away from, and they're thinking that they can get the answer from somebody else. And so what they do is they get in a relationship, and then they get married, and then all these issues come up that you never addressed before you even jumped into it, because you thought that you was gonna be able to have a person to be your savior, and it's like, nah, it don't work that way. And so Platform for Purpose was basically that. And so it's like we started off with the marriage stuff, and then she started branching into her women's for purpose conferences that she does, and then we started having men conferences. And we still do it. Like, we having another one this August, I think is our next one. But they've gotten better and better and better. And we try to bring on. Now we bring on men that are men that are single, women that are single. Last year we had a great panel last year. We had people that we know, but that are just like real. Like, we got Will, his wife, Tab, and Tabitha Brown and her husband. My man Omar and his wife, and then and we had B Simone was on the women's joint, and then Judy was on the women's joint, and so it's like, but these are all people that don't mind sharing, and they get it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, now we realize, like, all right, this Platform for Purpose is exactly what it is. Like, as our platforms grow higher and our artistry, what's the purpose of it? Like, that's where it came from. It's like, we could be artists all day and we can create this great content, and that can be purpose as well, making sure that we're using it intentionally. But as the man and the woman and the human being, how are we utilizing the platform as we grow higher? Who are the people that we're touching? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be known for films that I do. Like, that's a luxury. That I get to have. It's great that I get to do it. But if I leave, whenever I died leaving today, Jarrell could never say, hey man, he ain't never leave me with nothing. Or he ain't never I ain't never learned nothing from him.
Facts.
There wasn't no seeds deposited in me from him. Like, nobody can ever say that about me that has met me. Ever. Unless it was in passing. No, but if you know me and you spent time around me, it's no way. Like, I just don't operate like that, because it's like, we don't have but so much time here. You know what I mean? And I wholeheartedly believe that God looks at us like, bro, man, I put you there. You're an instrument. You my instrument. Like, nobody's playing you. Nobody's hearing your tune. Like, nobody's. You know what I mean? Like, you're not changing nobody's life. Like, nah, bro. Like, it's like, so for me, it's like, that's what it's about. And my wife is on the same wavelength, and so that's just what we operate on, man, in every facet. So That's our platform for
Yeah,
purpose.
man.
Came.
Make sure y'all check out Platform for
Yeah.
Purpose, man. Instagram, we gonna put the link so you already know what's up.
And we got an app
You
too.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. Make
you
sure
can
you
download
check out the
on
app. We're
iTunes
gonna give y'all
store.
all that. You
Yep.
feel me?
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy talking to you because this conversation and how it's going is just leading me right into
The next thing.
The next thing is wild but truthfully, this is one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about, man. But you talked about the aspect that we won't be here long, right? And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Dustin Felder and what he meant to Philly, to actors, to the culture. I mean, this man has helped a lot of actors get their career started.
Yeah.
Taking chances on people, giving people opportunities. He had his classes going out there. Dustin is one of my brothers. We grew a fine, close relationship, man. We talked about Detroit music a lot. That was my guy because he was heavy into Motown, man. I knew he was from Philly. I told him Frankie Beverly was my favorite group.
I never forget that day of when I was at the wedding. I was getting married, and we was in the room.
Yeah.
Was it somebody came? Oh, from Detroit.
Yeah, from Detroit. Yeah.
Was it who? I can't remember who it was. I can't remember what group it was. But y'all was. It was a moment, and I was like, "Yeah, this cool." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it was dope.
Yeah.
But I just want you to talk about Dustin a little bit, man, about what he meant to you, but also what he meant to this industry, to the actors that we now see him booking major roles and doing things on TV. He is no longer here with us, man, and rest in peace to a beautiful soul, man. But I just want you to talk a little bit about him and explain you guys' relationship and what it meant to be a part of his life.
Yeah, man. Man,
I know it's a deep one, man, but
oh my God.
I mean, I felt like because of the connection that we have, man, with Dustin, it wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about him, man, because the love I have for that brother
All right.
is real, man. So I just,
I'm gonna try to get through this one without.
I'm trying to because that was my dog. But go ahead.
All right. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't have a career without Dustin. Before I even get to the career stuff, Dust has always been like a solid dude. Like since we were kids. Like Dust was 3 years older than me. So I first met Dust when I was 15. He was 18.
Okay.
And I've never had a bad experience with Dustin, like ever. Even though like we weren't around each other a lot, but when we were, it was always like genuine love, just affection for the other person, just like how's life. But when I moved here, was actually when we really, really, really got close. And he not only became family, that was like a real brother. You know what I mean? Like it's I think one of the hardest things for me when I think about Dustin's situation, man, is like, man, Lord.
I know, man.
So I'll just be like, bro, you could still be here.
Yes.
Like I know that there's a such thing as God's timing, and there's a such thing as us playing a part in that.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that if Dust was a little more serious about his health at that time, he would still be here. That's just my personal, that's what hurts me the most.
I feel you.
Because it's like I can't get around this story. Every time I think about this, I just be like, man, he was doing so good at one point. Like he was just like, he was juicing and he was he was losing weight and he was feeling good.
Yeah.
I don't know. But all in all, man, Dust is like, his heart was always big. His mouth was always big.
Oh, he gonna talk. That's for sure.
He's big. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, just
he was big
tall,
himself, tall,
6'8",
big guy. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, but just like, man, just a genuine dude. And it kind of like, not that there's an expectation, but I'm just like, I always say, like, man, when I really get the opportunity, I'm gonna figure out a way to really honor him.
Facts.
Because there are a lot of people,
yeah, man,
that we know, that we see on TV now, that are a name,
yep,
that he's responsible for. Like,
Facts.
he played a part,
Facts.
a hand in their career, and you know, you can't expect people to just be like, to think about or to name drop or whatever. But me, as his brother, as his family, like, that's always gonna be on the forefront. You know what I mean? Like, it's yeah, man. But that's one of them ones, like, I don't talk about on purpose.
Yeah.
Every time I talk about Dust, I'm ready to start crying.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, man, that was just my brother. I got a beautiful story about that though. Like, when that happened, so I don't know if you know. I don't think I ever told you the story.
You might not. That's why we here.
Yeah. So Dust actually, when this situation first happened, I had talked to him maybe a couple of days before he went into the hospital. But we was like, he was in good spirits. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he had the situation with the leg. And by that time, like, I was going to Dust's house, cleaning his house for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, taking him to the market when he needed, like, it was like he needed people. You know what I'm saying?
He needed help. Yeah.
And so, I never forget. I was going to Atlanta. This one, Malcolm, we had just finished it, and it was screening in Atlanta. And I had also just found out that Kev was pregnant.
Oh.
And so I called him. And just checking up on him, like, yo, everything good? He's like, yeah, man, you know, I'm doing all right. He's like, I'm feeling a little weird, but I'm gonna go to the hospital, make sure I'm good. So I tell him, like, yo, well, I'm going to Atlanta, but when I get back, I'll come see you. But I got news, like, you know, Kev pregnant. He's like, what? Oh man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you about to be a father? That's crazy. So, go to Atlanta, man. Come back to my phone, just kind of like, I'm getting messages. And so I finally called, and it's his mom. And so I finally call her back, and she's like hysterical. And I'm just like, it already kind of just, I just knew.
You knew it.
Yeah, so she told me, man. So when I break down, I'm talking about fresh happened. And I was just like, I broke down a little bit. I was like, nah, like I was so like, nah, this can't be.
Yeah,
I got my car. I drove to the hospital.
Yeah.
I was on some, like, I'm reading. I'm like, all right, listen, I'm about to raise Dust back from.
Yeah.
Like, it was like
I
was like in that mode. And but when I got there, it was just like, yeah, nah, he's like he gone. And right after the funeral, I had a dream, and we was at like a party. It was a restaurant. It's a party. It's like all these people, and Dust walks in, and he got a big smile on his face, like, and it's like it's light all around him, and he just sits at the table, and he's just smiling, and I'm looking at him, and he just looked at me and was like, "I'm good." And I woke up and I was like, man, God got a funny way of just showing you, like, hey,
That's
man,
crazy,
he all right.
bro.
So ever since then, I mean, I knew he was good because Dust was a believer, but at the same time, It's like, to have that dream was crazy. I never told nobody that, not on camera anyway.
No, that's crazy.
But that was like, man, Dust was my dude,
Yeah,
man. He was
rest
there
in
every
peace
step
to
of the
a
way.
real one, man.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to a real one. Shout
Yeah.
out Dust, man.
Yep.
Hey, so check it out, man. That's our episode, baby. Todd
Man,
Anthony, come on
man,
now. We
man.
appreciate having you in the building.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Give it up for my dog one more time.
How you ended on that one, man?
You know, I feel like we gotta, we talk a lot, but I
Yeah.
just felt like it was only right to, make sure that we give Dust his flowers.
Yeah.
And I just wanted people to know the impact he had on people like you and me and a lot of these people in the industry, man, because like you say, it ain't gonna always be the people that talk about the ones that
Right.
that don't have a voice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We still got the voice to talk about them, so I choose to do that on platforms,
Yeah.
especially mine. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
that's dope.
that's
Yeah.
real love. But let people know what's going on, man. Keep them posted. Tell them where they can check you out at now. If you got
Man.
anything coming up, Platform for Purpose. Obviously, don't play
Listen,
yourself.
Please, you can,
You know what I'm saying?
download the app Platform for Purpose on Apple. We do mentoring, we do coaching, we do marriage empowerment, we do women's empowerment. We got master classes on there.
Sick.
The whole nine. We have our marriage conference coming up in August.
Okay.
And then personally, you can follow me at _ Todd Anthony on all platforms. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is,
Hey,
man.
man,
Malcolm is on All Black.
Malcolm, you
so
feel
if
me?
you haven't seen it, go check that out. And,
Yes, sir.
And stay tuned.
Yes, sir. Give it up for my brother Todd Anthony one more time in the building, man.
Appreciate you, man.
This is another episode of
Real Talk.
You already know.
V.
Make sure you hit that follow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, man. We're going to keep this joint pumping. But again, I appreciate y'all coming to kick it with your boy. Yaviv.
Hey, let this shit ride for a minute.